mga namin of our children, of our students who very soon, meron pa tayo. Yes. So we're still waiting for them. Siguro mga ano na lang, konting minuto na lang. So, yung inyo bang mga topic, meron na kayong ni-revise? Meron na ba kayong binago doon? Inaayos nyo na ba? Sinubmit nyo na ba sa akin? Yung inyong binago na topic?
Kasi ma'am, parang yung niisip ko po kasi, isipin muna namin yung ano ma'am, yung problems bago po namin i-edit po yung topic po namin.
Pwede, oo. At saka magbasa muna kayo ng mga related materials tungkol doon. Kasi para magkaroon kayo ng mas malawak na pag-unawa, no? Mas maintindihan ninyo kung ano yung topic na yon. At anong tawag dito? Makita ninyo doon sa reality kung talaga ano yung mga problema na may tungkol doon sa topic ninyo. Kasi by reading different materials and researches, you will be able to expound, no? Mas mapapalawak nyo pa yung pang-unawa nyo doon sa topic. Kaya makikita nyo kung ano talaga ang problema at saka kung ano yung hinahanap nyo tungkol sa topic.
Yes, tsaka hindi, kung problem din lang po yung gagawin, madali lang po yung problem, pero mapapanindigan po ba, kaya kailangan magbasa pa po kami ng ibang...
Yes, tama. Importante yun. Yun talaga ang kailangan eh. Pag meron na kayong topic, kailangan dagdagan nyo yung kaalaman nyo through reading. If you will not read, edi yun lang topic ang alam nyo, di ba? So, yun na nga. Yes, good morning, Richard. Good morning, everyone. Nandito na ba tayo? So, there are na 13. Pwede na siguro tayo magsimula. Tutuloy ko yung presentation kasi I will have to leave you before 10 because of a meeting that we are required to attend. Kaya, anyway, simulan ko yung aking PowerPoint. Itutuloy ko yung kahapon kasi di-discuss yung tatlong major philosophy that serve as tool in the development of the philosophy of education. Now, nakuha nyo na ba sa classroom yung activity 3? Nakita nyo na? Meron na akong...
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ang gagawin nyo lang muna, kasi natapos na natin yung first one, which is idealism. Gawin nyo muna yung first column, and then i-discuss natin ngayon yung 2 and 3. Then, at saka yung fill up pa yung 2 and 3, the second and third column, after our discussion. Kaya ang submission ng activity 3 is, ano ba nilagay ko? August 4.
August 4, ma'am.
Yes. So tatapusin natin, kailangan tapusin natin discussion ng philosophy number 2 and 3. Siguro, may I start now with my PowerPoint presentation? Alright, entire screen ko na lang ha, para mas madali para sa akin. Ano yung papasok? Si Ms. Bautista. Okay, good morning, Ms. Bautista.
Morning, ma'am.
So this is where we stopped yesterday. No? Dito tayo tumigil. Nakikita nyo na ba? May nakikita na kayo?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, dito tayo tumigil sa idealism. This is the first of the roots, no? The first of philosophical roots of education. Out of the 3 major philosophies where education based their philosophy, their own philosophy. So, yung ulitin natin yung una, idealism. No? From the word idealism. Di ba pag sabihin natin, napaka-idealistic mo naman, di ba? Yung para bang parang it's absolute, para bang alam na alam mo, no? Parang perfect knowledge, no? Di ba sinabi dito, it believes that perfect knowledge of the ideal resided outside humans and as an for God. So yung idealism, parang bang perfect, lagi may nahanap yung walang mali, no? So parang eksaktong-eksakto. So parang napakahirap humanap ng taong idealist. But in school, they envision that they are the intellectual centers of teaching and learning. Kaya, ito teacher, sorry. So, where teachers guide the students to realize their intellectual potential and appreciate the finest and enduring achievement of culture. So, as idealists, the teachers consider the school as intellectual center of teaching and learning. So, ibig sabihin, pag ikaw ay isang teacher, so ang post mo or ang iyong pinaka-station ay the school. So, the school premise and the entire school, the entire facilities, equipment, human factors are utilized in order to improve, no, yung knowledge, no, yung kaalaman ng bata, hindi half-cooked. So when we are an idealist, kunyari ako idealist ako, kailangan yung dinidiscuss natin sa klase na to ay hindi lamang in terms of theory, but we are supposed to practice this. Kasi idealist ka nga eh. Kailangan nakikita mo sa iyong gawa at nakikita mo as a teacher, sa estudyante mo, yung naituturo mo ay ginagawa din niya. So ang kaalaman doon ay inside, no, sabi dito, lies in our consciousness or our intellect. We do what we are supposed to do because this is what we know. That is true, that is correct. Parang yun. Kaya para pag nagkamali ang isang tao, napupunan mo kaagad. Kasi kunyari sabihin ng isang tao, this is my ideal ang tawag dito, ideal function or ideal role in the community or the ideal person to help me, and mga ganon. So, pag sinabi mong ideal, perfectionist ka, di ba? Ayaw mong magkaroon ng mali. Pero medyo mahirap naman gawin yun. Kahit na paano nagkakaroon tayo ng error. But idealism is one of the roots of this philosophy of education. Kasi nga, kailangan talaga pag nagturo naman tayo, ituro mo yung tama at dapat maintindihan ng nakikinig yung itinuturo mo at kayang isagawa, di ba? So you just don't make your student listen. You have to make them understand and implement what they have understood. Okay? So hindi pwedeng libro-libro lang, memorize lang. Pag nadapa siya, nakalimutan na niya yung kanyang memorize. But if you are an idealist, so wherever that person is, whatever he's doing, that idea that you implanted in his mind is there. So hindi yun nawawala na parang bula. Okay? So yun yung idealism. Kumbaga sa term natin, parang napaka-perfectionist mo naman. Yung gano'n, di ba? Parang hindi siya nagkakamali. Okay. So now we'll go to the second. I-present ko to na slide para naman makita niyo siya. Okay. Ano naman itong PowerPoint nito? Yan. So the second one is realism. Reality. Kasi iba yung idealist sa reality. Kasi masyadong mataas ang ng idealist eh. Mataas ang kanyang pangarap, mataas ang kanyang pag-unawa, mataas ang kanyang ina-expect. While in realism, this philosophy advocates that reality is outside of our mind. Now, whether you like to accept it or not, it is existing. Real, no? Kaya nga sinasabi natin real time. It is now, it is at the moment. We cannot change the moment because it is now, for example, ang time natin ngayon is 8:20 or 8:17. So it's the reality. Hindi mo pwedeng baguhin. And it is morning. So, yan tatawag na reality. It advocates that reality is outside of our mind. We are not only imagining now, it is existing at the moment. Kaya realism. They believe that the objects we perceive exist independently of the mind. That whatever our perceptions of the objects, they really exist. Diba? At nasabihin mo, ang buwan ay square, hindi. Ang katotohanan, nakikita natin, siya ay bilog. Ang buwan ay lumalabas lang sa gabi. Totoo o hindi? Answer me.
Totoo po, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Nakikita lang natin siya sa gabi, pero lumalabas siya, di ba? Nandun, meron din buwan sa araw, di ba? Pag ano. Hindi lang natin nakikita kasi yung reflection ng araw ang nagbibigay lang ng liwanag sa buwan. Pero nandun ang buwan, hindi lang natin siya nakikita. It is real. It is existing. The fact that hindi natin nakikita, hindi natin masasabi na walang buwan sa umaga, sa tanghali. Diba? So that is realism. Umiikot lang kasi ang buwan sa ating mundo. Kaya mayroon minsan full moon ay 12 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, mga ganon. But there is the moon, but we cannot see it. It is existing. Okay? Now for the realist, kunyari the teacher, the purpose of education is to teach students the world in which they live. So tinuturo natin sa bata, ano yung totoo? Kunyari, ano ba ang problema? Bakit maraming nagugutom? You tell them the truth. Hindi mo sabihin na, ay kasi ganito, gumagawa ka ng imaginary explanation. Para bang inilalayo nyo yung kaisipan ng bata sa katotohanan. Now, in a realism or a realist teacher, if you are a realist teacher, you tell them the truth, whether it hurts. No? Para sabihin natin, bakit hindi na ako nakakabili ng bagong sapatos? Sinabi ng anak nyo. Then sabi mo ang katotohanan, wala nang trabaho si tatay. It hurts, but it's the truth. It's the reality. So, bakit mahirap ang Pilipino? Sabihin mo ba na tamad kasi ang Pilipino? Hindi naman siguro. Pero hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na tamad ang Pilipino. So, one of the factors siguro, sabihin yung totoo. Hindi naman conclusive na kasi yung Pilipino ay tamad. Hindi naman. So, alisin natin yung ganong mentality. Tell them the truth. If you have the statistics, tell them the figures. So, yun yung reality. So, the purpose of education is to teach the students about the world in which they live. That there are other tribes in the world, that there are other people outside our country that are also striving hard to become educated and an asset to their country, just like what our students or what we are doing in our own country. And we tell them the reality that people are in conflict, that because we are differentiated, we have different culture. So reality yon na merong tao na ang tawag dito, di ba, may mga tinatawag tayo ng discrimination, no? Mga racial discrimination. It's a reality. So hindi tayo dapat mawala dapat yung natin yung sa kanilang pag-iisip na tayo ay magagalit din kasi dinidiscriminate nila tayo. So we just tell them the truth that the culture, because of religion, they act that way. So that is the purpose of education, to teach them about the world so that they can also adjust. Diba? Kasi pag sinabi mo na, kasi yung mga Muslim, ganito yan. At magkakaroon na sila mga negative. Without the proper explanation, proper justification of the facts, mga ganon. So, doon siguro nagkakaroon ng problema pag yung mga maraming tao hindi masyadong nakapag-aral, no? Hindi nila masyadong naintindihan ano ang ating purpose dito sa mundo. Why are we in this world and what is the end, no? The end purpose. The final purpose of our existence, the meaning of our existence, the meaning of our life. No, is it simply getting the material things? Is that what you call success? No, sa bagay sa iba-ibang tao, ganun. But we have to teach our student what is in the real world, what is really happening. Do not try to anong tawag natin doon pag medyo inaano natin para hindi siya matakot, hindi siya malungkot, no? Para iniiba natin ang sitwasyon, pinapaganda natin yung pangit. So mas maganda na makita na niya ang pangit para makapag-adjust na doon at magagawa siya ng paraan para yung pangit ma-convert niya sa maganda, di ba? So maybe that is also the reason why nauso na ngayon yung yung mga plastic surgery, facial ginagawa sa mga mukha ng babae para gumanda kasi natanggap nila ang katotohanan na may pangit talaga. So may paraan para gumanda. And so because of that, no, pwede rin ganun. One example na pwede kong sabihin sa inyo. But you have your own explanation. Okay? So the third one is pragmatism. Now, this philosophy evaluates the truth and meaning of ideas according to their physical consequences and practical value. It emphasizes the need to test the validity of these ideas by acting on them. So for pragmatists, if something works, it is true. Now, in education, John Dewey, the author, he relates it to the preparation for life. He believed that the function of education is to enhance human potential in order to adapt to changes in the world. So, may konting pagkapareho siya doon sa realism, no? Sa realistic, realist. So, sa pragmatism, tinitignan niya, no, yung mangyayari at ang possible contribution ng isang activity or isang bagay sa isang tao, sa isang institusyon. So it emphasizes the need to test the validity para makita natin kung yung idea na yan ay makakabuti dahil yan ay totoo. Di ba? Emphasize the need to test. You have to check first by doing it. Yung tinatawag natin na experiment. Experiment mo muna o test mo muna nga kung ano yan, kung hindi yan makakalason. Diba? So we do test to check whether that will improve the system or not. Okay? So if something works, it is true. So pag hindi namatay yung tao, edi makakagaling yung man yung natuklasan niya. Kasi di ba, yung herbal medication, we use the herbs, mga leaves, mga barks sa mga puno. But we test it first before we distribute that in the market. So several tests ang ginagawa. Kasi gusto natin makasiguro. So yun ang ng pragmatism. So therefore, we help the student to prepare for life. Hinahanda natin ang ating mga estudyante kung ano meron doon, no? Haharapin nila sa buhay. So we cannot just tell them that you are always sleeping in a bed full of roses, no, gano'n, na wala kang magiging problema kasi naalagaan ka ng parents mo, gano'n. We have to tell them at the very beginning the difficulties of life. And so therefore, we always have to make it a point that no matter how beautiful life is today at the moment, it may not be the same tomorrow. Diba? So, yun yung sa bagay, mas maganda yan, diba? Na nakikita na ng bata. Kaysa yung inaano natin yung bata, napapansin ko may observation. Pag meron kayong mga anak, kasi ako naman, wala naman akong anak na dapat alagaan. So, pag yung mga anak ninyo, di ba, masyado niyang pinapamper. Pag lahat ng gusto niya, binibigay ninyo yung kung ano man, kahit na nahihirapan na ang magulang, basta sa anak, binibigay lahat. But that is something, well, not good in my own opinion kasi hindi niya nakikita kung paano yung pinaghanap buhayan yung ibinibigay nyo sa kanya para lang sa sumaya. So I think from this philosophy, you have to tell the kids or your children how you work hard for his future. So parang pareho na pinag-aaral kasi marami kayong pera ngayon, pinag-aaral yung anak ninyo, then yung bata naging parang lax. Dinisregard ba niya yung pag-aaral niya, yung focus niya wala doon sa education kasi well provided siya, no? Binibigyan niyo lahat yung material things needed. So he's enjoying life, going to school, not because he wanted to learn, but because he wanted to enjoy life the way he wants it. But if you have the courage to tell him that this is how far we can go, na after 4 years, you can no longer afford to pay for your tuition, ganon. Yung mga difficulties na encounter nyo, siguro naman, makakaano yung bata, in preparation for, sabi nga natin, mga events na hindi natin inaasahan sa buhay natin. He become more stronger, no, to face realities. Okay? So therefore, John D, we believe that the function of education is to enhance human potential in order to adapt to changes in the world. Kasi lahat na tayo, sabi ko, we have all that potential, hidden potential that we never try to explore because we are so dependent on other people. Para bang doon na lang tayo, lalo na sa Pilipino, di ba? Ayaw mahiwalay ng magulang yung mga anak, may apo na, yung anak, may anak na, yung anak nila, may apo na sila. Sige pa rin, ando pa rin sa kanilang mga magulang. We are so caring, tawag natin doon. Kaya yung extended family, no, yung culture natin na gano'n, hanggang doon sa apo, hawak mo pa rin, inaalagaan mo din. Okay, so we were not able to help our children, our students to explore their potential. So we have to challenge them. Okay, so yun ang tinuturo ng pragmatism. Mabuhay ka ng ayon sa iyong, ano yung tawag dito? You live by your own means. Kaya nga sa Amerika, di ba, the age of 18, you're out. So, maghanap buhay ka na kasi tapos na yung obligasyon ng magulang sa iyo para makapag-aral ka in preparation for your future. So, if you did not make it good, so bahala ka sa buhay, mabasa at 18. Pero Filipinos, even if they are in the United States or other countries outside our country, ando pa rin yung ugali. Anak pa rin niya yung anak niya, so inaalagaan pa rin niya, takbo sa kanya pa rin yung anak niya. So they never learn to make decision on their own and to challenge themselves. Diba? So yun yung inaano ng pragmatism. Okay. Now, after that, if you don't have other questions or any question or if you don't want to share, do you want to share? Meron ba kayong gustong i-share? So, mamaya na kayo mag-share. Okay, now these are what the idealist teachers believe. Okay? May mga naka-enumerate some of the idealist beliefs. No? Ito yung mga pinapaniwalaan nila. The idealist teachers believe that schools are the repositories of eternal truth, which have organized the hierarchical curriculum in education. Ay, ibig sabihin nito, ano ibig sabihin nito? The schools are the repositories of eternal truth. So, nandoon sa, sa curriculum, kasi the curriculum, we have the organized presentation of the different subjects that should be tackled in one curriculum year. For example, there are 4 years for you to earn the degree. So for every curriculum that you encounter for each year level, there are different subjects properly organized para matutuhan mo lahat yung objective nung level na yon. So let's say if you're in the freshman, secondary, third, and fourth year. So in the tertiary level, so ang pinaka-guide at ang pinaka-guide or pinaka-buod nung dapat mong malaman sa bawat level nasa curriculum. Kaya dapat yung curriculum na approve ng ating Department of Education or other countries' Department of Education are properly reviewed, and the subject contents are properly reviewed. Then they really have to evaluate if the subject matters will be able to help the student understand the specialization. So, kunyari nandun kayo sa, ang major ninyo ay elementary education or secondary education. Because in elementary, wala man kayo major. Pero secondary education, you have a specialization, may mga major subjects kayo. So, therefore, the idealist teacher believe that is only in the school that you will be able to understand the truth, no? Yung katotohanan sa pinag-aaralan mo. And that is embodied in the curriculum. Kaya hindi binabaliwala ang curriculum. Ini-implement yun, chine-check yun every school year para makita kung nagtutugma dun sa pangangailangan natin sa kasalukuyan. So they have to be upgraded and updated. Hindi pwede mong gamitin 20 years ago, ginagamit nyo pa rin ngayon. So, kasi meron lagi evaluation na ginagawa. Ina-assess nila. Okay? Kaya ngayon, laging bago ng bago, dagdag. May binawasan, may tinanggal, may pinalitan ang title, pinalitan ang code number. So, there are so many things to be done para maging updated lang yung curriculum. Okay? Also, the idealist teachers believe that on this curriculum are the most important subjects that cultivate abstract thinking, like philosophy, theology, and mathematics. Okay? So, laging meron yan, no? Yung philosophy, theology, math. Because these are the important subjects. Abstract thinking. You have to yung ma-develop natin yung critical thinking. Be able to explain, not to simply anong tawag doon, parang repeating, no? Kung inaano mo lang, dinoduplicate mo lang kung ano yung binasa mo. But what you have read, you have to express it in the way you understood it. Di ba? So, minsan, pag may tanong ang teacher, kaya yung sinasabi natin, dapat knowledgeable ang teacher talaga. Pag may tinanong ang isang bata, kasi curious siya, so, gusto niyang ipaliwanag, nagkakaroon siya ng point na pinapaliwanag niya yung reality, tapos dun sa pinapaliwanag ng teacher. So, if the teacher is not properly prepared, no, for that particular topic or for other related topic, may nakakaano yun, hiya naman sa estudyante natin. Okay? So, for every teacher, they have to understand the curriculum. Kailangan yan. Hindi pwedeng sabihin mo na babasahin mo lang yung curriculum, yung subject na nando sa curriculum. Kailangan din ma-review. Kasi in the process of evaluation, review and evaluation of the curriculum, the teachers are also involved. Part sila ng committee. So there are the head of the school, then the teachers, and also some representative from the student body and the community. Kasi mga stakeholders yan eh. Kumbaga, kung ano man yung kalalabasan o nilalaman ng curriculum at ang kalalabasan nilo, maapektahan lahat yung stakeholders. So we should be, be sure not to be ignorant about what a curriculum is, what the contents are, and why are you teaching these subjects. No, there are reasons. Not simply teach what you got from the reference or from the book. You have to explore. You have to read more. Okay. Now, also the idealist teachers believe that the use of Socratic method of asking probing questions stimulates the consciousness of students in discovering knowledge. Ano ba yung Socratic method? Pag nagtanong ka, hindi yung sabihin, what is your name? Hindi ganon. So, probing, yung bang parang hinahalukay mo kung ano yung alam ng bata. Medyo challenging question. So, parang mag-iisip yung bata, di ba? Kasi madalas natin tanong pag nagtuturo tayo o yung kung ano yung ando sa libro, ando sa reference. So, what are the 3 objectives? Sabi niya, enumerate, yung mga ganon. No? It's very simple. What, why. But more should be more of the how. Diba? Asking probing questions that can help the student express what he knows and what he understands. By then, makikita mo, measure mo yung level ng kanyang nakuhang kaalaman. Okay? Hindi mo kasi sa tatanungin ng yung ba mga tanong na nakakabigla, no? Para bang hindi niya ina-expect na itatanong mo yung mga ganong tanong, so hindi siya mag-iisip, hindi matcha-challenge ang kanyang kaalaman. Tapos makikita niya, pag sumagot ang bata, ang galing pala ng estudyante ko. No? More of yung mga tanong na hindi sinasagot lang ng what. Okay. Alright. Hi. Nandun siya. So, idealist teacher, they believe that thinking and learning are the process of bringing latent ideas to consciousness, and logic is encouraged in organizing their lessons. So hindi na naman to spelling ko dyan. So anyway, so idealist teachers make the 2 students think and learn. So pag-isipin, kaya may probing questions By asking probing questions, you help the student learn how to think. Learning through thinking, no? Not learning by memorizing. Important, pwede rin naman yung memorize, but if you are able to memorize at the same time, be able to explain, because that is the way to do it, no? So maganda yun. It's a process of bringing latent ideas to consciousness and logic, and encourage in organizing their lessons. And then teachers should believe that teachers should lead exemplary lives and be model to students. Ayan. Modelo. Dapat na model talaga ang teacher. Kasi kung ang teacher, wala naman makitang magandang estudyante sa teacher, anong kalalabasan ng estudyante? Diba? So either the student will leave the class, or the student will become like the teacher. Kung ano yung minodel na, lalo na sa mga primary, sa basic education. Okay? So, a teacher should carefully check his attitude, behavior, and if there is a need to improve, pwede naman meron tayong laging a space for improvement and lead exemplary life. Alam niyo, exemplary life. So, yung morality, that is very important. Okay? The idealist teachers also believe that the internet, technology, can make the great book accessible to all. But they insist that technology should be the means rather than the end in transmitting knowledge. So, if you want to transmit more, transmit knowledge to more, beyond your reach, then you use technology. Para na ginagamit natin ngayon. So even if we are outside, if we are not meeting regularly our students, we are still able to deliver to these students the knowledge that they should get, no, within the prescribed period. Kaya yung internet, yung technology ngayon, na ito na yung in, and we should not be left behind in terms of technology. Kasi ang Pilipinas, ewan ko, balagi na lang tayo naiiwan pag technology na ang pinag-usapan. Okay? So, we accept that internet is helping us a lot at this time. Now, this is now what the realists believe. Okay? They believe that teachers should be equipped with a wide repertoire of this particular materials in teaching. Ibig sabihin lang, hindi lang ang hawak mo yung reference book or the textbook. You should have several materials to indicate that you use different references in teaching the subject. No? So, to complete that, sabi niya ganon, the teachers should be equipped with wide repertoire of method also in teaching to achieve their goal. So, aside from material, the method of teaching should vary. Hindi lamang yung chalk and board, tapos nakaupo ka lang. There should be other teaching strategies to be used when you are teaching, wherein you are in the classroom. Para yung estudyante mo hindi ma-bored. No? Hindi basta naiinip sila na nakikita ka lang nakaupo o kaya nakatalikod ka sa kanila kasi nagsusulat ka sa board. No? So there should be other technique or way for you to teach or to deliver the lesson. Kaya bukod dun sa material, meron ka ding different style of teaching. Okay? Kaya yung iba nga masaya kasi they make the students enjoy, no, the lesson. Kasi nga the way it was presented, talagang matutuwa ka kasi naintindihan mo na, tapos properly presented pa yung mga materials niya or the use of different technology. We can now apply this in our classroom. No? Alright? Magkadugtong yan, yung 1 and 2 na to, methods in teaching. Now, number 3, the teacher believed that their primary responsibility is to bring students' ideas about the world into reality. Yan. Di ba maganda yan? Bring students' ideas about the world into reality. Hindi lamang yung pangarap ko ay maging, anong tawag dito, paano man yung idea niya about education, na makapag-aral siya sa isang malaking paaralan, no? Mga university. But the reality is not all students will have that opportunity to attend school in urban areas where there are big universities and colleges. But you also teach them the reality that there are schools that are maybe not in the urban, in the rural, but also delivering the same knowledge. Diba? So, ibaba natin konti yung pangarap ng bata, ilagay natin yung katotohanan. Yes, it's good to study in big universities, bachelor school, pero ang dami din naman doon, ang dami naman din naman hindrance because of the different qualification, different requirements, because of the tuition fees, very high tuition fees. So yung mga ganon, that is the reality. And also, to bring also their dream. Minsan kasi, yung mga bata tumitingin sa facilities that they can study better if the school has complete facilities, modern buildings, parang mga lang talaga sila. Gusto lang makita yung structure. Okay? But we have to tell them the truth, the reality about what a school is. That learning is not only measured by the structure and by equipment and facilities, but these are also very important. Okay? So para ihanda lang natin yung kanilang kaisipan na parang hindi naman nire-reject na nila pag hindi na sila nakapag-aral sa isang university, para hindi na sila competitive. Diba? Okay. The realist teachers also believe that deductive and inductive logic and the scientific method are reliable means to discover knowledge. Now, ano bang ang pagkaintindi nyo sa deductive and inductive logic? Meron ba? Sa ano kasi, sa research, for example, if you want to talk about the theory. So when you talk about deductive discussion, you start first by explaining the subject matter. Parang from down going up. Paliwanag mo muna yung specific, yung pinakasimple. Then, you go up, generalization. No? So, ini-explain mo muna yung theory, halimbawa, ng isang author. Pinapaliwanag mo. So, there is already an existing theory and you try to explain or analyze the theory. So, yun ang ibig sabihin ng deductive. Nagsimula ka sa pagpapaliwanag ng simpleng bagay hanggang sa maipaliwanag mo yung kabuuan. Okay, para ba nagtatanong ka ng why? Why is it like this? How did it happen? Until you come to that point na maipaliwanag mo na yung entire theory or the entire lesson na gusto ipaliwanag dun sa theory na yon. Idea ng theory na yon. So you start from bottom going up. But the theory up is up there and you start asking from below. Okay? From nothing to the full-bloom theory. While the inductive, ikaw mismo ang gagawa ng paraan, magre-research, magbabasa, magte-test, para makagawa ka ng sarili mong theory. No? Yun ang ibig sabihin nun. So, yung una, may theory, yung deductive. May theory na i-analyze mo yung theory. Okay? While the inductive, you intend to develop or create a theory by doing some more of readings, more of testing, experimenting, until you finally come up with a theory. Kasi bago mo matanggap ang theory, tinetest. Sinusubukan mo kung magiging applicable, magiging totoo, several testing. So medyo matagal gumawa ng theory. Okay? So pag sinabi natin deductive and inductive logic, so ano yan, from simple, yung deductive simple to more wider, general. By inductive, from the development of a theory. So, ang pinagkaiba lang, yung deductive, meron ng theory na dinidevelop, meron ng idea na dinidevelop ka. Pero dito sa inductive, ide-develop mo pa lang yung idea. I-create mo pa lang yung idea. So that is applicable in doing scientific research, and this is more accurate way to discover knowledge. Kasi nasusubukan mo more of asking questions, more of whys, and more of hows. Okay? So, yun lang ang ng deductive and inductive na sinasabi dito. Okay? Alright? Then the inclusion, they believe that the inclusion of non-academic activities interfere with the school's primary purposes or purpose as a center of discipline, academic inquiry. So, ibig sabihin, non-academic activities interfere, nakakasagabal with the school's primary purpose as a center of discipline, academic inquiry. So, ibig sabihin, pag sinabahan mo yung kanilang paniniwala, nagiging sagabal yung mga not academic related activities kapag sa iyong primary purpose of disciplining academic inquiry. Parang nahahati yung attention ng estudyante, kaya ayaw nila nun. So, they do not believe, no? Okay? In the inclusion of academic activities. And number 5, they believe that technology as an aid in learning and recommends computer program to be as realistic and effective as possible. Okay, so realist teachers believe in the use of technology because this is an aid in learning. Totoo naman, nakakatulong. Mas maganda na yun pag meron kang PowerPoint presentation, meron kang video na pinipresent, and so it's easier than talking without presenting what you are saying. Kasi madaling makalimutan pag salita lang ng salita, nakikinig lang kayo, nakakalimutan nyo na yon. But if you want to understand better what is being discussed now, well, you can make your own research, you can make your own explanation. No? Kaya mamaya you share also your view about what you are discussing about these philosophies. Okay, now the pragmatist teachers believe that education is an experimental process, and we agree, di ba? We can check after a day or a lesson if a student is capable of pursuing yung higher learning pa, di ba? We experiment kasi kaya nga meron tayong evaluation, meron tayong estudyante na high performing, low performing, mga average, high, mga ganon. So it's experiment because we use different methods and strategies to help our students understand our lesson. Kaya na-experiment natin ano bang kaya ng teacher para itong mga batang slow learner na to ay bumilis-bilis din ang pangunawa ng kanilang lesson. Okay? So we try everything possible na paraan para matuto ang bata. Kaya nga ngayon, alam ko lahat ng bata kailangan pumasa. Walang may iwanan. So sabi ko parang mali. Kailangan ang bata, pag hindi matuto, tulungan mo na matuto. So try to work, find other means to help the student qualify. No? Hindi pwede sabihin mo maiwan siya o ipasa mo na lang kahit hindi marunong bumasa at sumulat, grade 6 na. Diba? So, nakakaya naman doon sa bata. Tinuruan ni teacher tapos hindi natuto. Okay, then the pragmatists also believe that children should learn how to make difficult decisions by considering consequences of their actions on others. Okay? So, helping them decide by understanding the possible effect of their action to other people. Di ba? Yung golden rule, pinakamagandang paraan para ituro sa bata. Itong sinasabi ng pragmatist. Do unto others what you want others do unto you. No? Gawin mo sa kapwa mo yung gusto mong gawin nila sa iyo at gawag mo namang gawin sa kapwa mo yung ayaw mong gawin nila sa iyo. That's what this number 2 item is telling us. And for number 3, education should focus. They believe that education should focus on real-life problems to be prepared to live fully, effectively in society. So talaga namang ganun eh. Huwag mong sabihin na mayaman ka kahit hindi naman totoo. O or huwag mong pilitin sabihin sa kanya, ang galing mo kahit hindi naman niya naiintindihan. Okay? So you tell them the truth. You make them realize what these things are and who they are. So if you want them to become something like this, then tell them how to become one. Pero always focus on the real life problems. Di ba? Ang daming problema tungkol sa family. Kaya nagda-drop out, nawawala ang bata sa classroom, problem sa family. So, real life problems yun. Kawalan trabaho ng mga magulang, pagiging mahirap. So, reality. Sabi ko nga kanina, yung katotohanan talagang masakit. No? But we have to make them realize that is part of life. And by doing that, we are able to help them prepare whatever problems they may encounter in the future, because they accept that it is real, and that is also possible for them to make life better. Diba? Hindi naman forever ganun na lang ang buhay. Meron laging pagkakataon, or there's always an opportunity to change the problem into a scenario that is maybe not, hindi naman kasing walang-wala ng problema, but you're still happy even if there are problems because you understand the situation. Okay, then the pragmatist teachers also believe that students should learn the process of problem solving rather than by being passive learners as knowledge is being transmitted to them. Yung bang nakikinig lang yung bata, nakatingin lang sa'yo, hindi mo alam kung naintindihan niya yun. Diba? So, lalo na sa math. So, math is a subject that really require a student to engage in solving. No? Kaya kailangan maintindihan niya muna yung problem. Analyze the problem first before it will start solving. So, ibig sabihin, ituturo ng teacher yun, the process of problem solving, especially if you are in math nga, kasi it's numerical eh. It's more of solving. But also in other subjects. So, pwede rin natin apply yun. But what is important is you teach them the right process of solving problem. And so, kaya importante yung analysis, no? Critical thinking in 21st century. Okay, then, they believe that in collaborative learning, students share their interests and problems. Now, collaborative learning is when you work with other students, help them form a team, no? Working together. It's a way of sharing, making friends, no? Understanding their classmates, knowing them better. Yan, lumalabas sa collaborative. And madalas yung sa collaborative learning, mas maganda ang ng pangunawa ng mga bata kasi nagsishare yung mga estudyante sa bawat isa. Pag sumagot sila, gano'n, may kanya-kanya silang opinion, meron silang sariling idea, sinishare nila sa bawat isa, and then as a group they answer. Nagkakaroon sila ng commonality. Okay? Now also, the pragmatist teachers believe that interdisciplinary education is better than departmentalized curriculum in education. Now, ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng interdisciplinary education? Tsaka yung departmentalized curriculum. Meron bang nakakaintindi sa inyo nun? Di ba pag interdisciplinary, so iba-ibang ano yun, iba-ibang, let's say, lesson or area of knowledge or diba? So, magtatackle mo lahat yung possible subject. Pag departmentalized, let's say, dito lang sa area ng social science, at sa sciences, sa math, diba? Parang gano'n, nakafocus ko lang sa isang department, isang area. So, which is better, interdisciplinary education or departmentalized curriculum in education? So, isang maganda activity nyo yan later. Okay? And then, pragmatist teacher believe in taking risk in education to achieve their goal. Taking risk in education. So, what are the risks in education? Taking risk in education to achieve their goal. So, hindi, halimbawa, meron kang teacher na error. Iiwan mo na ba yung subject mo? Magdadrop ka na ba? You take the risk of still continue your attendance despite yung mga threat ng terror na yon. Okay? Because that's the only way for you to prove that you can make it. Diba? O ano pang risk ng education to achieve your goal? So, the risk of, let's say, sa tuition or financial, that is one of the risks in education. Also, the different requirements of the school. Marami din yan. What are the risks in education? Siguro, yung kung ikaw ay low achiever, yung bullying, nabubully-bully, but still, a student should take the risk. It's the only way, di ba? So, para bang maging matapang ka, tanggapin mo yung anumang ang isang estudyante sa paniniwala ng pragmatist teachers, na kailangan tanggapin mo anuman yung kinakaharapan mo na risk o yung ano pa sa Tagalog yung risk sa kalimutan ko. So, to achieve your goal, you have to face whatever challenges you have, problems that you may encounter. Okay? Then also, the pragmatist teachers believe in value clarification rather than blindly accepting inherited values. Now, what do you mean value clarification? So, ano ba ibig sabihin ng values? What do you mean by value? Binibigyan mong kahalagahan. Ano ang mas binibigyan mo ng kahalagahan? So, kailangan, hindi na lang yung paniniwalaan mo na ito yung ito kasi yung tinuro ng magulang, ito yung aming binibigyang halaga sa bahay. Mauuna muna ang pagtatrabaho at pagtulong namin sa pamilya kesa sa pagpasok sa eskwela. Yung mga ganun, di ba? May values tayo, mayroon tayong mas binibigyang value, family first, mga ganun, values. Or, sabihin natin, ang value na itinuro ng magulang or na ituro sa atin, ng ating mga magulang, ay tulungan muna yung, magaganda naman ang values. But also, try to determine, check whether the values that you have or that you inherited from your parents are positive, yung ba nakakatulong sa iyo, magiging asset ba, nakakatulong ba para maging successful ka later on. So, yun yung sinasabi, clarification rather than accepting kung paano man yung tinuro sa'yo, yun na lang forever. Sometimes, meron din mga, hindi naman mali siguro, pero nagiging sagabal din para tayo umunlad. The number 9, communication technologies provide opportunities to share ideas, insights, and experiences. Which is true. Yan, meron tayong mga messenger na yan, text na yan. So, by doing so, you're able to share kung ano yung pinopost nun sa messenger, sa Facebook. So, you learn. No? Also, but be selective. Hindi naman lahat ng sinishare nila doon sa Facebook, sa Messenger, tanggapin nyo ng tanggapin. You have to be selective. Reject nyo yung hindi karapat-dapat. Okay? So, that's the end of my presentation. Now, you may now, teka muna, may nagpapa-accept. Okay. You may now ask question. You may now share your ideas. So, pwede na kayo magtanong, pwede na kayo magsalita about the three philosophies. About what the teachers believe in the different philosophical areas.
Ako po,
Saan kayo?
ma'am.
Yes.
Philip Mauri po, ma'am. Apo.
Philip
Ma'am,
Maure.
share ko lang, ma'am, po. Yung sa pragmatism kanina, ma'am, yung binabanggit niyo pong risk in education, siguro gusto ko i-consider yung, ma'am, itong online, ma'am, classes. Kasi, parang, ma'am, since nagkakaroon na tayo ng una, yung problema sa internet, doon tayo unang, ma'am, kailangan mag-risk talaga tayo na magkaroon tayo ng ibang mode para matuto po yung bata. Parang ganun, ma'am.
Yes. Kasi
And,
nga, tama yung sinasabi mo kasi nga ngayon, di ba, sa ating pandemic, risk yan eh.
yes, ma'am.
Buti tayo hindi tumigil. No? Other school, they stop, they close. But for us, we still continue despite yung sabi mo nga, mahina internet, yung connection. Yes. Ano pa?
Tsaka ma'am, nabanggit nyo rin po na with the aid of technology, siguro ma'am, malalaman na ng ma'am, ng teacher kung ano po yung, yung ma'am, yung gaya kanina na sample po ninyo, yung sa video ma'am, kung paano ay yung papanoorin po ng mga bata yung video para sa ma'am, sa isang klase. Malalaman din po natin kung ano yung mga po nila ma'am, interest din nila ma'am, kung kunwari mahilig sila manood ng video or siguro kung sa klase nila buong discussion is parang naboboring sila ma'am, meron tayong alternative, parang ganun ma'am.
Yes, kasi nga ginagamit siyang parang supplement, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Supplementary tools or materials kasi aside from lecture, kasi nga pag lecture ka ng lecture, ang bata madali din mainit.
Yes,
so yung
ma'am.
mga technology, ginagamit natin ngayon. Kaya nga sabi ko, it's good. We have these different devices now. Kahit na paano yung mga teachers natututo rin gumamit ng upgrade yung kanilang skill when we talk about technology. Kasi natuto lang yung marami nung nagkaroon ng pandemic, di ba? Nagumamit ng ganito, ng mga hindi natin masyadong pinapansin ito noon sa ating classroom. Kasi nga, yung internet, wala pa tayong masyado, hindi, lalo sa mga probinsya. Sa Manila, okay lang, dahil nakaano na sila doon, na-upgrade na ang kanilang technology. But in provinces, medyo nahuli-huli tayo.
Yes, ma'am. Lalo na po sa mga remote areas po, ma'am. Kasi kailangan nilang maglakad sa mga ilog, bundok, bago sila makapag-aral, ma'am.
Tama. Kaya maganda rin yun. Kaso lang, ang problema naman kung minsan, wala naman signal doon sa lugar nila sa
yes,
sobrang.
Yes, ma'am. Isa pa yun na, risk din, ma'am. Opo.
Yes, isang risk din yun. Kaya nga yung sabi mo nga kanina, yung distance is also a risk, no? And pag nakikita nga natin sa mga news, yung mga bata na striving talaga tumatawid sa ilog, umaakyat sa bundok para lang makarating sa eskwelahan. And siguro yan dapat na i-focus ng ng gobyerno. Matagal na kasing issue yan eh. Tagal na. Basta Pilipinas pa lang noon. Hanggang ngayon Pilipinas pa rin. Problema pa rin siya. It's been a problem. But we have moved actually. Pero problema pa rin ang distance for other students to attend classes. Kung ma-attend man sila, minsan irregular naman. Okay? Sige?
Yun lang po, ma'am.
Philip, so any sharing, questions para natin? Kompleto na ba tayo? 16. So 15, kompleto na tayo. Other comments, other remarks, or other ideas that you would like to share? tungkol dito sa philosophy na to. Kasi ito nga tinatawag nilang roots of education, the philosophical roots. Dito yung foundation. Kumbaga, ito yung mga philosophy na kung saan nila kinuha yung mga idea nila na mabuo yung kanilang philosophy of education. Okay, so I think their guide in the preparation of this, or also maybe possible guide for you in order to prepare your own philosophy in education, your own philosophy, is for you to answer the question, what is the purpose of education? Primary, ano siguro yan sa inyo as striving to become a teacher one day? What do you think is the purpose of education? Kasi dito sa philosophy na ito, ay tatlong ating major philosophy na pinagkuhanan nila ng kanilang idea to come up with the philosophy of education. They consider first the question, what is education? So, siguro nga, kung maintindihan mo maigi kung anong edukasyon, mas madali kang makagawa ng philosophy or yung gabay. No? Kasi the philosophy will serve as a guide in order for us to deliver what should a teacher really deliver. Kasi teacher is, sabi niya teacher, nagtuturo lang yan nagtuturo. Pero anong itinuturo? Naaayon ba ito sa dapat niyang ituro? So this is very important in determining your philosophy. Kasi nakakalungkot nga na maraming teacher, hindi lang iilan, na nagtuturo na hindi talaga handa na magturo. Kaya hindi natin, kaya tuloy, hindi natin yung masisi yung mga bata. Kung sabihin natin bakit sila mababa, no? In terms of examination, when they take the exam, for example, nagkaroon tayo ng international competition yata ng high school, worldwide, no? Pero siyempre ang mga kasama naman natin, they belong to a developed country, so hindi tugma yung ginamit na sukatan kasi iba naman yung teaching style do sa mga developed country because of the equipment, the facilities that they have compared to us. Kasi sinasama yung underdeveloped and developing countries sa developed. So iba yon, di ba? Kaya nagkakaroon tayo doon ng parang discrimination. Yung level, yung standard nila kasi is iba sa standard natin. Kaya nga umakyat tayo gumamit na tayo ng curriculum K-12. And this is, I think, the primary reason for this is to prepare our students, even if they are not able to pursue tertiary education, they may still work. No? Parang yung 2 years, yung extra 2 years ay preparation for their skill, develop their skill para makapagtrabaho na sila after ng senior years. Kaya meron tayong mga training na ino-offer na ng TESDA, bukod doon sa TESDA, kasama na doon sa ating K-12. Pero yung mga ibang schools naman kasi, wala namang complete facilities para mabigay yung training na kailangan ng bata. So there are some gaps or improvement that need to be looked at para maipatupad talaga. Pero alam ko, nire-review daw yata ngayon yung curriculum ng K-12. I'm not updated yet. Hindi ko pa masabi kung ano yung kabutihan ng K-12, kung nagkaroon man ng pagbabago sa quality ng graduates na gumamit ng curriculum ng K-12 at saka yung hindi gumamit ng K-12. Kasi kung bibilangin mo yung dati na curriculum, to complete yung primary, intermediate, and secondary education, that is 10 years. Tama? After 10 years, 4th year high school graduate ka na, yung 2 years mo is already college level, tertiary na, doon sa lumang curriculum. Pero ngayon, 2 years, yung 2 years is extension ng high school. Kaya meron kang junior and senior high. The 11 and the 12, no, yung 11. So ngayon, pag pumasok ka ng college, nagpatuloy ka, specialization na yung papasukan mo. So, parang preparatory din yung 2 years, 11 and 12, para sa tertiary. Kasi natapos mo na rin parang general education, then when you enter the tertiary level, professional subjects na yung enroll mo. Parang ganyan. Okay? So, yun yung yung kahalagahan ng curriculum na binanggit dito kanina. Any other sharing? Gusto nyo banggitin tungkol dito sa idealism, pragmatism, these three philosophical theories, ideas na ito. Anybody? Wala na kayong gustong itanong tungkol dito? Richard, ikaw wala kang itatanong? Wala kang isi-share?
Ma'am, wala po. Ma'am, pero may tatanong lang po ako. Kasi may mga kaibigan kasi ako na graduate pa po nung 2014. 2014. Tapos gusto nilang mag-enroll ng college. Pwede pa po ba silang mag-enroll since hindi pa po yun under ng K-12 nung time po namin?
Hindi pa sila sa curriculum na
Ay, 2014 po, 2004 po graduate ng high school pala.
2000.
4 po, which is hindi pa po yun under ng K-12. Hanggang 4th year high school pa lang po, wala pa pong senior high nung time na yun. Then now, gusto ata nilang mag-aral ng education, which is hindi nila sure kung i-allow sila ng school.
Oo, kasi ewan natin, hindi kita masagot ng diretso tungkol dyan. So siguro may mga additional requirements silang i-comply. Kasi yung kaya ba nagsimula yung K-12? Kasi parang nagpag-graduate din sila ng 3 second times ba yun?
Parang 2013 yata yan, ma'am, naging batas, ma'am.
Or 13?
2013. Parang 13, 14.
Oo. So 13, 14 yan, so ibig sabihin nakapag-graduate na sila ng 2 beses ng K-12. Diba?
Pangatlo na po ngayon, ma'am.
Pangatlo na ngayon. So,
Yes,
siguro pag yun ay 2004 pa nag-graduate ng high school, baka sila additional requirement. Pero itanong natin kasi wala namang nag-enroll ng college pa na nag-graduate before K-12. Pero at least, sa curriculum niya, qualify siya, di ba?
Yes, ma'am. Kasi nag-graduate naman siya.
Oo, graduate naman siya nung high school, 10 years, 4 years naman yon. Ang papasukan naman niya, iba naman ang requirement ng tertiary.
Yes.
Ika-clarify natin. Sayang
Yes,
din naman kung
thank you.
interesado siyang mag-aral, an opportunity for him to earn a degree. Okay?
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Sa tingin ko, ma'am, yan po yung isa sa mga drawback ng paglalagay ng K-12, ma'am eh. Di ba ba? Yung pag-a-adjust.
Oo, kasi marami din lumabas na issue dyan eh. Kasi additional expense at the part of the parents daw. Pero kung titignan naman natin yung yung objective, it's good.
Apo, yung objective kaso nga lang po, maraming maapektuhan po, ma'am eh. Kagaya nga, yung sabi ni Sir Richard, yung mga gusto na mag-college ngayon pero pero natrap po sila eh. Kasi nga, old curriculum pa po sila dati, di ba? Wala pa pong K-12. Tapos ngayon, magka-college nga sila, ngayong may K-12 na, magkakaproblema ngayon sila. Hindi nila alam kung saan sila lalagay ngayon. Kahit gusto nila mag-aral, yung nga doon sa sistema nga po eh.
Yes, kasi biglang pagbabago. Kasi parang matagal na kasi yung K-12 nga lang, nung in-implement naman, biglaan din. Pero matagal na yan kasi parang nung in-implement yan, 3 bansa na lang ang hindi nagpapatupad ng K-12. And the 2 countries are from Africa and 1 is Philippines from Southeast Asia.
Kung ang ginawa sa nila, kung imbis na patupad ng ganyan na policy, magbigay din sana sila ng guidelines para alam din po ng karamihan kung paano yung sistema na yon. Di ba? Kagaya ngayon, nalilito tayo, hindi natin alam kung ano yung mga Q&As na FAQs pala na pwedeng May
Meron
tanong.
naman meron naman silang implementing guidelines. Nga lang, hindi properly disseminated na lahat ng tao malaman or maintindihan. Nga lang, ang nakakaano dyan, kunyari, ikaw ay teacher ng high school, meron silang pinakonduct na parang orientation, seminar, so bago nila ipina-implement yung curriculum. Pero yun na nga, yung ginagawa nila ngayong pag-aaral na gusto nila nga ibalik doon sa luma. Kasi parang hindi naman nila nakikita yung advantage ng more of disadvantage yata yung sa K-12. At also, yung objective nila doon is improve the quality din ng graduates natin para maging competitive din sana. At saka yung mga mag-a-abroad na kukuha ng mag-aaral sa ibang bansa, di ba? Hindi sila dati nagko-qualified, pinakuha pa sila ng additional units if they want to pursue higher education in other countries, like America. So, isa din yata ang dahilan yun, kaya K-12 para maging at par naman tayo with other countries if we want to pursue education. Pero konti lang naman tao yung naapektuhan nun. Yung mga nag-aaral sa ibang bansa, ilan lang naman yung konting-konti lang.
Kung tutusin kasi ma'am, napakalit lang na percentage nila ma'am eh.
Yes.
Yung majority po kasi dito tututok talaga sa Pilipinas ma'am eh.
Oo.
Ang masakit nun, although tapos ka nga ng K-12, yung mga job posting po ngayon, ang hinahanap pa rin nila, mga bachelors talaga ma'am eh. Walang tumatanggap kasi ng matapos lang ng K-12 ma'am eh. Yun po yung masakit.
Oo, parang ang nangyayari, kumbaga, mga skilled workers ang nandun sa K-12. Kasi ang dinidevelop doon is more of a skill. Okay? Kaya yung binibigyan sila ng certificate ng TESDA. Sabi ko nga, meron namang TESDA para mag-train kung talagang yun ang objective nila. So, gawin nilang more accessible sana ang TESDA. Pero iba na nga ang naging focus sa Department of Education kasi natin dahil ang dami kasi magagaling, no? So they try to improve without trying to review the possible long-term effect of this adjustment at the curriculum to our graduates. Kasi siyempre ang focus natin dito yung mga estudyante natin pagkatapos ng isang program, may trabaho kaagad. Ang nangyayari para tayong diploma mill, pag-graduate lang ng pag-graduate, tapos wala naman tayong trabaho papasukan. Kaya sana nila yung training, yung skill na yan, pero limited din naman na nangangailangan nung, di ba yung mga skill yata na din-develop dyan, yung mga welding, and then yung sa mga hotels, sa restaurant, yung something na hindi naman yun na ang in demand sa ating market. Kaya sinasabing ninyo na talagang problema kasi ang hanap natin ay trabaho para sa ating graduates. But pag hindi pa lumabas sa Pilipinas yung estudyante or Pilipino, hindi magkakaroon ng trabaho na maganda-ganda. That's why, sabi nga nila yung brain drain, we cannot blame them. If there is an opportunity to work outside the country, they have to do it because of the opportunity. Sabi nga, greener pasture. If it is available outside, why keep on working inside? No? So parang sabi natin, hindi naman siguro masama na maghanap tayo ng magandang kinabukasan. Pero ang nangyayari kasi, yung iba na pag nandun na sa ibang bansa, hindi na bumabalik ng Pilipinas. They stay forever. So, pero yung ngayon, yung mga ating mga OFW, when they work outside, they have some contribution to our treasury dun sa ating revenue, yung kanilang mga, di ba meron kayo, ikaw Eva, meron ba kayong sa tax? You also send remittances and you are...
Ma'am, wala po dito sa Saudi Arabia. Parang sa, ano po yun, like Canada, Taiwan, mga yun country po. Pero dito po sa Middle East, wala po.
Wala, hindi nire-require. Akala ko...
Hindi po required, ma'am.
Akala ko kasi kahit na yung kunyari, hindi yung like your type of work, kunyari yung mga contract worker, Hindi din ba sila required? Akala ko kasi nag-open sila ng account. Tapos, sa remittances nila nagkakaroon ng for the government para may tax.
Ma'am, wala po. Bali, ang ginagawa na lang po namin, ma'am, is kapag umuuwi po kami, nagbabayad na lang po kami ng balik manggagawa.
Yun lang ang
Yun po yung pumupunta po sa government, ma'am.
okay.
Pero dito po wala po, hindi po
Hindi
Oh.
kayo,
hindi po
so,
kami
hindi kayo
nagbabayad.
nababawasan.
Yes, ma'am. Pero ang lang, ma'am, dito is yung mga bilihin po kasi kapag may mga tax. Ang tax po kasi ng tax ng bilihin nga ngayon dito, from 5% naging na po siya, 15 sa lahat. Yes, ma'am.
So, hindi talagang global yan yung inflation na yan, pagtaas kasi
Yes, ma'am.
supply.
Biglang taas po ng nila dito.
Pero
Tax
hindi
na.
naman kayo nagkukulang sa supply.
Hindi naman po, ma'am.
Kasi yung ibang bansa, ibang lugar, mataas na nga kasi nga may kakulangan na sila sa supply. So,
Ma'am, nagtaas lang po yata sila nung nag-start po kasi yung pandemic. Parang naano po kasi yung budget po yata nila is napunta sa mga kasi dito po may ang kwan po kasi nila dito is may mga free po yung mga pinag-aaral po talaga nila yung mga dito, mga kabataan ng college free po sila educational allowance po talaga. Tapos mga hospital din po, government hospital, libre rin po.
okay. Kaya naapektuhan
Kaya
din.
medyo yung doon po yata sila bumawi sa sa tax para medyo ma-erase up ulit nila yung kwan nila.
Kasi yun lang ang source ng income nila
Yes,
aside from
ma'am.
oil. Di ba? Yung isa din
Yes,
yung
ma'am.
oil.
Yun po.
Okay, so makikita natin talaga yung reason naman kung bakit nag-abroad. Kumuha sila ng mga training. Yung ibang OFW kasi nag-abroad, nag-training sila sa TESDA kasi may certificate sila, no? Diba? And requirement yata yun. Pero limited yun sa mga, yata sa mga construction, mga skilled workers. Okay? So, ano pang natin? Concern? Question? Wala na bang magtatanong sa inyo? Nandito na ba tayong lahat? Miss Anchoho, nandito ka na? Anchoho?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Miss Anchoho, wala kang question, Miss Anchoho?
Wala po, ma'am.
Good. So, ang susunod nating activity, so yung binigay ko sa inyong activity 3, pwede nyo nang gawin kasi meron na tayong discussion on idealism, realism, and pragmatism. So, may kopya kayo nun, di ba? Pinasa ko sa inyo kahapon. So, yun na muna ang gagawin ninyo. Comparison matrix of major philosophies. So, based on the 3 philosophies, you will have to define the aim of education under these 3 philosophies. Okay? Kayo mismo, magde-define kayo ng aim of education based on the discussion that we had and based maybe on the readings that you will review, okay, for additional information. Then as well, the role of teacher under, kasi nandito naman yung what the teachers believe in the different philosophical areas. So, makikita nyo doon, madedefine nyo din kung ano yung role ng teacher. Kunyari, the role of a teacher in idealist, no? Based on his belief as the school as a repository of eternal truth. So ano yung kanyang role para matupad niya yun? Then the role of a student also, and a kind of curriculum that should be designed under the idealist. So makukuha nyo lahat yung idea from the presentation that we did today and additional readings siguro para makompleto nyo. Pero this is your work. This is your own work. No? Don't copy. If there are references that you see, you try to express it in your own words. wag niyong isulat mismo kung ano yung nandoon sa nakalagay, sa nabasa ninyo. Try to express it in your own way because that is how you understood it. Okay? So, yun lang muna yung activity ninyo. And that's all for now. Tapos, ang susunod kasi natin, bibigyan kayo, kasi there are other philosophies mentioned that we are going to discuss, but I will have to assign this to you as reports, no? So, magre-report kayo one of these philosophies, pero hindi sabay-sabay. And then I will continue discussing for our next meeting. Ang susunod natin is socially responsible teacher, active members of social institution. So this is now more of a discussion of where a socially responsible teacher is involved. Okay? Kasi yung una, the socially responsible teacher behaves based on the philosophy. Kaya diniscuss natin muna yung foundation. The philosophy is the foundation. Now, yung susunod nating discussion is what is the role of a socially responsible teacher in a social institution. So, yun ang ating focus of discussion next meeting. And then, kasi ngayon, alis ako ng maaga dahil meron akong meeting. We have to attend to a meeting. So, you have any question, further question about our discussion? So, ang coverage sa susunod na discussion natin dito ay 1, the personal qualities of a teacher. And then 2, attitude of professional teacher. Then 3, criteria of professional teacher. And the fourth part is as an active member of social institution, what is the role of a teacher? So alam niyo naman yung mga institutions. So basic institution include the family, education, then you have religion, and then the government. So these are the basic social institution. And a teacher is involved in all these social institutions and how a teacher should behave in this social institution. And what is the role of a teacher in this social? So yun ang coverage ng ating discussion for next meeting, which is Thursday. Okay? Tapos yung assignment sa reporting, meron bang magbo-volunteer or magbibigay na ako ng assignment? Yung sa philosophy, para may prepare nyo na. So, these are the different philosophies. These are other. No? So, let nyo lang. Perennialism, essentialism, progressivism, social reconstructionism, existentialism. So, there are 5. So, kailangan ko ng 5 reporters for this topic under philosophy. So, sino ang magbo-volunteer? Any volunteer? Volunteer. Kayo na yung magsabi kung gusto nyo at saka kung anong philosophy. Yes, Jan, volunteer.
Yes po, ma'am.
Anong
Sa ano po? Perennialism, ma'am.
perennialism? Okay. All right. Roland,
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to choose essentialism na lang po.
essentialism.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Roland. And then another. Ano?
Can I volunteer, ma'am?
Philip, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Sa progressivism po.
Progressivism.
Apo, ma'am.
So, Philip. Okay. Another. So, meron na si John, si Roland, si Philip. Dalawa pa. Social reconstructivism at saka existentialism. Dalawa na lang. Dalawa pang volunteer. Yes,
Existentialism, ma'am. Ako na po.
Mr. Soriano.
Hidalgo po, ma'am.
Hidalgo.
Yes, ma'am.
Hidalgo. Existentialism.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. One more. Sana lang, yun na lang, social reconstructivism. Wala. Sana lang, isa na lang. Social reconstructivism. Ladies, wala ba sa ladies?
Mama ko na lang, ma'am.
Eva?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So sa iyo itong social reconstructivism. Right. Okay, so siguro pag sisimulan ko muna yung discussion ko doon sa second part and then I'll call maybe two of these reporters to present next meeting. Pwede na, no? Okay. All right. So now, do you have other concern, questions?
Question po, ma'am. Ay, sorry.
Yes, Roland? Hindi ko marinig, Roland.
Nakamute po siya.
Yes, ma'am. Ask ko lang po kung kailan po i-present tong reporting. So, by next week po, ma'am?
By next week siguro, Thursday.
Thursday, yes, ma'am.
Magpe-present muna ako ng second part ng ating topic and then siguro isa o dalawa sa inyo pwede na mag-present next Thursday. Then susunod, Friday.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. No more? Iwanan ko na kayo. 15 minutes before time. I'll see you Thursday. And then, remind ko lang yung inyong topic, no? Read materials now related to your topic para maayos na natin yung inyong research paper. And then also submit all the other activities. If you have not complied with these activities, submit nyo na. Kasi ang naiprint ko na ay yung inyong professional teacher. Yung second activity nyo is the topic, Yung third activity, itong matrix na major philosophies. Okay? Alright.
Okay po, ma'am.
Other question, Anne?
None, ma'am.
I leave you now. Okay, see you next meeting.
Okay, thank
Thank
you,
you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thursday, Thursday, ma'am, no?
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, Thursday.
Sige.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Yes, you're welcome. See you. Thank you also for coming.